Hey guys, it's me, your boy Ryan Swag here. Here for a spooky comparison episode of Swag Tips. Boom, yeah, this is the intro song. Ryan Swag has an intro with an intro song, yeah. You should probably go to Fiverr and get one. Swag Tips. Sorry about that. I had too much fun with that. Alright, so as you're all probably aware by now, we've got a data mine, right, showing us these ghosties here, right? Gen 3 hype, am I right? And zooming in, what we can see, we got the Dust Skull line with the Dustclops, we got Shuppet, Bayonet, we got Sableye, and our good friend Murkrow and Zubat, because don't have enough of those. And oh, look at that Mimikyu hat. Can I zoom in more? It's gonna probably be really crummy resolution, but no. So there's a lot of hype going on right now, surrounding the evolution lines of our three new ghosties, and people are wondering like, oh, what's good? Like how good are these ghosts going to be? Well, I feel like I've got the tips for it. Let you know that that our three ghosts are just gonna be hot garbage, right? So, well, let me get to the screen share here. Screen share, bum bum. Oh yeah, I got my final on Monday. Probably wondering why I'm making a video, because I need a study break. So let's go to Game Press here. Game Press. Pokemon list, right? If you're unaware, Game Press already has all Gen 3 Pokemon up for their Pokemon listing, so you can find their CP, like, who's that? Slaking, right? Oh, Kyogre. Oh, Groudon, Daddy, But we can also check the ghosties, the new ghosts. And we got Bennett, we've got Dusclops, we got Sableye, and then we got their lesser forms. I'm guessing Niantic's not even touching the Shedinja yet, but it's not a ghost evolutionary line. If you don't know about Shedinja, I'm not going to talk about it here. But yeah, let's start out. We got Bannett, right? That's the highest CP of our ghosties here. I'm looking at stats. We got 128 stamina, so typical no stamina happening whatsoever, kind of ghost stamina in the grand scheme of things. Gengar 120. If you want a bigger comparison, oh gosh. Well, let's start by stamina and see what's even big. Yeah, well, the biggest of the bigs are like 500, but even more modest Pokemon like Rhydon and stuff, they've got 200-ish, Fable's got 190. Slowbro's considered to be bulky. It's got 190, So, 128 stamina, it's not very good stamina, most stamina of all the ghosts, though, for what that's worth. And the 218 attack stat, it's a little bit worse than Haunter, but 218, Vaporeon's supposed to be the best water type, and that's a 205, And the defense stat, it's still a little bit to be desired. It's actually less bulky than Gengar and weaker than Gengar, and well, we all know how good Gengar is on defense, so I'm not really expecting too much from Bannett here. Unfortunate, right? Precious little baby Bannett. If you're kind of curious, you can go on Pokebattler. Pokebattler hasn't updated yet with the Gen 3 Pokemon, but Slandra said he's working on it. He says he's got some cool thing coming out soon on that. But let's say I go to my Pokebox, right? Pokebox. And Bannett's like comparable to Haunter, maybe a little better, but simulations on Pokebattler won't tell you about Haunter unless you put Haunter into a Pokebox. So let's call this guy, I'm gonna spell it wrong, aren't I? Bannett. That's how it's spelled. Oh, hey, woo. Oh, yeah, nailed it, got it. Oh, man, let's say we got 39 Bannett. Actually, it's not actually Bannett. And we got the most perfect quote unquote Bannett rolling here. And it's got Shadow Claw, oh man, and get Shadow Punch, it's gonna knock you out. Success! Alright, so let's see how that performs in a raid situation. I'm gonna take on Alakazam raid. Alakazam might be a bad comparison, you know, thinking about it, because it's got... Banette doesn't have poison subtyping, so let's do Gengar. We'll go with Gengar with Sucker Punch and Focus Blast, the worst kind. It's still really bad. Great, and this is with Haunter, which has even more resistance to Focus Blast, so Banette is not sizing up too well. Bad day for Banette, so sorry, I'm gonna decelerate your hype here. Banette's not too hot. Well, let's go down the line here. Let's go down the line. CP, make it a little bit more even. Next up to bat is Dusclops, and it's got 234 defense. That's pretty impressive, but 80, 80 HP and 124 attack. 124 attack is less than Ghastly's attack. It is less than Mischievous' attack. And Mischievous doesn't rate, and we already show how Banette and Haunter don't really rate, so Dusclops 7 out of 10, but that 234 defense, you know, let's start by defense here. Best defense of all ghosts. Let's see how it does against all Pokemon. Dusclops. Oh man. So, I mean, it's impressive. The defense is impressive. I mean, only a handful of non-legendary Pokemon are above it, but I really don't see any with stupid low HP really making it. You know, it's like worse than Onix, I guess, in terms of bulk, and we all know that Onix doesn't rate, so... But Dusclops looks cool, and Dusknoir, which is a 4th gen Pokemon, that's actually one of my faves. Maybe it'll fare better. I have to do some digging here to pull up Dusknoir. I know they got the stats somewhere hidden on Game Press, but it might take a little bit to dig up. But let's go back to our final guy, Sableye. See how Sableye's doing. Gotta sort by Ghost. Gonna sort by CP. So Sableye, pretty holistically underwhelming. Strictly worse than Mischievous. Alrighty, less HP, less attack, less defense. It's rock and roll Sableye. Now, Sableye's like claim to fame. Thing that makes Sableye interesting is that it's got that Ghost Dark type, which effectively gives it no weaknesses, or did give it no weaknesses. I think it's weak to Fairy now, maybe. But yeah, Sableye, no weaknesses, but in Pokemon Go, that just means that you take neutral damage even harder, you know, so Dragonite's gonna be rolling on this guy. Shadow Ball Mewtwo does not care, still gonna be knocking him around with his abysmal stamina and abysmal, you know, defense. So, yeah, Gen 3 hype, you know, I'm still hyped for it. I guess it's kind of nice that these Pokemon don't really have stats that like will be altering the meta in some huge way. They're as benign as the babies were when we got that early Gen 2 release, you know. And I expect the rollout to be quite similar to the Gen 2 release, where we got the babies in like December, and then we got Gen 2 in February. So we're getting the ghosts in October. So, you know, hopeful for a full Gen 3, maybe December, maybe January, you know, supports my hypothesis on it in the Game Press articles, where I'm not trying to say I know where and when it is, because I don't. I'm just giving conjecture, and people are like, oh, Mr. Swag, you're so smart, giving yourself like 3 months of wiggle room. I'm like, yes, I am. I'm not gonna say I know things that I don't. So yeah, so what ghost types should we be excited about for the for the new event? Well, I mean, Sableye is definitely one of my faves, and Dusclops Evolution Dusknoir is one of my personal favorites, coming out Gen 4. Banette, I know a lot of people that love the puppety look of Banette. I got a friend, Joe, who is all about Banette. But I think the biggest, baddest dog that we got for the Halloween event is going to be Gengar, right? He's good now. He'll be good tomorrow. If you watched my safe for Gen 3 video or my Gen 3 comparison videos, you'll see that Gengar is likely going to be the best ghost type for generations to come. So, but yeah, I don't want to decel the hype train for Gen 3. I mean, this is like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new Pokemon for the Pokedex. So that's pretty hype. You know, evolve forms, definitely be seeing them in gyms, make gyms easier to take down. You know? Oh, you know, thinking about taking out gyms easily, that might be a good point of comparison. I might have some niche on like a after 8 hours sort of defense because they've got such low CP going on, but even then, they definitely have a lot less stamina than some of the mainstays in that, like Azumarill. Azumarill has 200 stamina, so I don't see these ghosts being very impactful, but I'm still hyped for it. I still want those new dex entries. Gen 3 hype train, am I right? Right? So yeah. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this this little like rando kind of video, letting you know the inside scoop on the new ghost types. I gotta get back to studying fetal heart circulation adaptations. You want a real interesting nugget of information. So yeah, apparently when a baby, you know, is in the tummy, it gets all of its oxygenated blood kind of circulation supply all from the placenta, right? And the lungs are actually filled with fluid. How does the baby breathe? The baby doesn't really breathe. It gets oxygenated blood from the mama, you know? So, whoa, like, well, then what happens, you know? Well, so there's like a very low pressure system in the fetal pulmonary cardiac kind of situation there. Very low pressure. It's all pretty open. Blood just kind of goes where it goes. You know, there's no real, you know, pull factors going on there. It's all pretty automated by the mama, you know, but then you pull the baby out and you cut the cord. Well, what happens then, Ryan Swag? Well, when the baby's getting squeezed out of the mom, assuming vaginal delivery, right? It squeezes a lot of the fluid out of the baby's lungs, and then when the baby's like crying and stuff like that, it's getting more fluid out. And then the fluid is also like absorbed by the arterioles surrounding the lungs, right? So now there's all this space in the lungs where there wasn't space before, which means there's a lot of pull factors to pull blood into the lungs that weren't there previously, right? So now you've got blood getting pulled into the lungs, so you've got some you know, high pressure going on there. You know, there's less resistance there. So if there's high pressure somewhere else, then, you know, stuff's going to want to go there. And you just clamped off the umbilical cord, which was the main blood supply. So now there's high pressure down there, forcing blood, you know, into the lungs, you know, which are now getting oxygen for the first time. You know, so then it's like, oh, that's where we're getting our oxygenated blood from, right? And then on top of that, I said that very low pressure system before. Well, you know, baby was getting tons of prostaglandins. I hope I don't have this mixed up right now. Sorry, I'm still in study mode. But yeah, so placenta has a bunch of prostaglandins. Prostaglandins going down, right? And prostaglandins are vasodilators. So now the blood vessels are constricting. So more pressure in the, you know, blood system. So, you know, low pressure is in the lungs, high pressure is like everywhere else, you know. And then I guess oxygen also stimulates, you know, the blood vessels to contract a bit. They've never really touched real oxygen before, and now they are because they're outside of the mama. And so then blood's now going into the lungs and then going into the heart. And now the heart's got a lot more pressure. You know, it's like, oh wow, instead of having blood just slosh around and do its own thing, it's going to get pumping around. There's this foramen ovale thing that you don't even want to know about it here because it might make you uncomfortable. But yeah, fetal heart circulation adaptations. I hope there's at least 2 questions on my final about it because I've got this nailed down. Do you know about prostaglandins? Because SwagTips, he knows about prostaglandins. Let's do an outro. This is SwagTips outro song. You gotta love it, SwagTips.